to Fertile Talks, the global podcast celebrating the diversity of fertility journeys. I'm your host, Dr. Yemi Famuyiwa. Whether you're just starting or simply curious, this is your safe space. In each episode, we will bring you expert insights, heartfelt personal stories, and the latest in reproductive health. Our goal is to break down barriers, tackle stigma, and provide support and hope. So whether you're in the Americas, Africa, or Asia, Fertile Talks is your companion on the path to parenthood. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Fertile Talks. Hello, this is Dr. Famuyiwa. Today I'd like to dispel some myths, if you will. So I've often had patients who've told me, well, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm healthy, 31, 32. There could possibly nothing wrong with me. I've only been trying to get pregnant for a year or two. And so when you test them, you find out that sometimes the female partner has one blocked tube. Shock, shock, shock. They're like, whoa, how did that happen? I didn't have any illnesses. I didn't have anything wrong. You just can't assume. So my advice is it doesn't hurt to get evaluated if you've been trying for a while. You might be surprised what turns up. I want to bring to the fore this issue of microplastics. They are everywhere. There are studies now that are looking at testicular tissue and finding a high concentration of microplastic in human testes. And we wonder why sperm concentration, semen quality has been steadily going down over the years. Another place they found microplastics are in placental tissue. When people delivered, they looked at the placenta from those deliveries and found high concentrations of microplastics. So microplastics, what can we do to reduce our exposure? There are tiny particles like 5 millimeters that are either in plastic containers, plastic bottles, plastic linings of some pots that may have them. They act like endocrine disruptors. They affect your production of your hormones, and that can translate into infertility, if not other diseases as well. They're also inflammatory in nature, so they're not really good for DNA. They can affect the DNA of cells. And now you do know that sperm cells are constantly dividing. You're constantly making a new sperm. You replace the entire sperm load within 70 days. Now imagine those cells are dividing, right? The DNA is dividing during that time. And you expose microplastics into that equation. You could affect the DNA as it's dividing and can affect the ability of it to divide normally. For eggs, they prevent the proper maturity of the eggs. Now we do know we have all the eggs we're going to have when we are born, and those eggs are in storage, if you will, and they are gradually recruited, activated, woken up, and brought into active duty. So while they're being activated, if you expose yourself to toxins, you can affect the quality of the eggs at maturity. You can affect the ability of the eggs to be properly fertilized. So that's why the big hoopla about microplastics is going on. So it's new research, it's a lot of data coming out, and we now know that they can be harmful. So if you can, use glass products to store your food, glass bottles or steel bottles will be helpful. Try not to store hot things in plastic container. And guess what? When you drink your coffee, that plastic lid, that can leach microplastics into it. So if you can, if it's safe enough, take the lid off or substitute non-plastic covers for it. You were diagnosed with
polycystic ovary syndrome, PCO, what now? So when patients come to see me with this diagnosis, I usually ask them, I want to see the laboratory work that was done to make the diagnosis. What people don't always realize is you need a constellation of things to be present for you to make that diagnosis. It's not just the ultrasound findings. You want to know if the patient has a history of irregular cycles. Do they have excess androgens? Are they shaving? Do they have to excess facial hair? What else is going on with them? So I want to see the data. And based on the data, I want to come to my own conclusion. And if the data is not sufficient, then I would probably repeat the test. But there are things we can do if you have polycystic ovary syndrome to help you get pregnant. One of the things with PCO is that patients don't always ovulate. So to achieve pregnancy, you need to ovulate first. So I would say, show me the data, let's validate the data, and then come up with a game plan.
Thank you for tuning in to Fertile Talks. We hope today's episode has provided you with valuable insights and support for your fertility journey. Remember, you are not alone. Now, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please simply leave us a comment. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Your ratings, your shares, and your reviews are greatly appreciated and is going to help us serve more of our listening audience. Thank you once again. This is Dr. Famuyiwa.